Hello everybody, it is I, the Marx engineer, and today we've got these two. These are what I like to call Marx 700 engines, mainly because they were made in the 1970s and, well, they really don't have a particular number attaining to them, even though they've got number boards and their fronts are slight retools of the Marx 400 and 490 classes. So anyway, here's the first of the two that I got. This one came with a numbered tender, number 3177. I got it off of eBay. And of course, it was just all gray all around. There was no paint on it and everything. And when I got it, the firebox had a crack in it, and so did this piston. In fact, this one kept cracking so many times I've had to actually super glue it together twice. And as you can see, all the little details on it, like the front of the pilot, the many little bits and bobs and whatnot, and the bell and the roof have all been painted. And of course, I gave it my favorite road name, the Illinois Central Railroad, for pretty obvious reasons, seeing as how I was born and raised in Illinois. So, when I got this engine, I wanted to give it a very sort of turn-of-the-century kind of paint scheme, you know, like from not too late, I guess, in the 1800s, but early 1900s. And I wanted it to have that sort of feel to it, since it had the massive pilot, but it didn't have, you know, the elegant, you know, fine-tuned boiler and the, you know, very lavish kind of cab, kind of like the William Crookes engines have. And of course, this engine actually comes with this was the standard coupler it came with. It came with a Marx plastic coupler, which I absolutely despise, and I actually have to trim it down slightly so that way it can couple up to regular knuckle couplers. And of course, I've got this little drawbar on the top of it, so that way you can have tab and slot couplers put onto it. And as you can see, you know, not much was really done to the tender, that much. Never understood why they would put a bell all the way at the cab as opposed to the front of the engine. Wouldn't it make a little bit more sense? But anyway, there's not really much to say, albeit this is a wind-up version. Both versions that I have are wind-ups, and if you'll notice, the engine kind of slopes back slightly. And that is because I added traction tires to the front wheels, and of course I use just regular old Lionel traction tires, as long as they're not for like really massive wheels and they're not for the tiny driving wheels, but just for like the standard type of drive wheel, you'd say on like one of the regular Atlantics or the Scout engines. Just take one of those off, pop it on there, give it a little bit of glue. If it's a little bit wider than usual, then yeah, but adding that has made a tremendous difference, because these engines have completely plastic bodies, so they are very light, a little too light. They can hardly haul anything, which is why I never really run this with any rolling stock behind it, other than probably a caboose or 2 passenger cars, the smaller variants. So yeah, and of course this one I had gotten online and everything, so yeah. And now on to the other one, which I got at a train show from a guy named, I think it's Joe, if I'm correct. He's also getting me, at the time of this video, I'm getting another set from him at this little train event that my club hosts. It's called Trainapalooza. It's like our own little private train show, I guess. And of course, this one I didn't really do too much to either, albeit I gave it a red roof, Illinois Central Railroad, but I gave it a gunmetal gray firebox, which when I actually got this, it had a big old crack right there, so I had to super glue that into place. And this came with a couple of other cars. In fact, the New York Central tender in the 555 video review, that was the actual tender that came with this engine, and I didn't really like it because it was way too small, so I gave it a pre-war Marx tender, which is the bogeyed type one with the tab and slots. I might paint over the New York Central logo, but for now I just have it on there. This is just a placeholder tender until I can get another one, because I've got a few extras, but I want to keep them in case one of them needs to be replaced, and I don't want to have a blank one with another engine. And if you notice, the front number board, I actually painted it right there, 3177. Now this one I gave it its own number, 719. As to why I gave it 719, well, I've heard that these things are called 700s, but they don't have a definable number. That's just what they're called because they were made in the 1970s, and of course I'm adopting this term for it as well. So I basically gave it a 7 for the 1970s and the 19. I don't know, seems like a good number. And yeah, both of these engines are indeed wind-up engines, and I will admit, these things, if you are able to add some weights inside of them, and make a brake that you can control remotely if you could, these make really decent shunting engines. In fact, I've got one of these, but it's got a cab at the front that I added. I don't have it with me. It's actually in the works right now. I'm fixing it, but I do have another one of these. It's got a cab at the front. I'll probably show it in another video, but that one's got a special knuckle coupler at the front that I use. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.